It's time for another WrestlePlanet news update, as CM Punk hits his first GTS in All Elite Wrestling, CM Punk discusses AJ Lee return rumors, and are several releases on the horizon as Vince McMahon takes over NXT. All that and more coming up in today's video, but first... Before last night's episode of Dynamite, AEW held a set of tapings for the next episode of AEW Dark, where a big return occurred. One half of the Varsity Blondes, Griff Garrison, went one-on-one with Anthony Bowens, which led to interference from Max Caster to help his acclaimed tag team partner. Whilst I won't spoil the result, the match will air on Tuesday night on the post-All Out episode of Dark. This is Caster's first appearance since his controversial rap, which aired on August 3rd, which was swiftly edited out of the show after the fact. It had been falsely reported by Ringside News that he was suspended for 2 months, but he is back less than 1 month later. Caster did remove all references of AEW from his Twitter bio after the incident, which still remains to be the case. Caster will be performing in Chicago tonight at the Bottom Lounge as part of All Out Week, which will include a live musical performance, a Q&A, and a meet and greet. The event is not officially affiliated with AEW and was booked before his return, but he likely knew he was set to appear in Chicago ahead of time. Next, we have some unfortunate news regarding the upcoming AEW All Out, as one of the most anticipated matches has been postponed. AEW President Tony Khan revealed on Twitter that the match between Pac and Andrade El Idolo will no longer be happening and has been moved to a future episode of AEW Rampage due to travel issues. Pac is said to be stuck in the UK and is unable to get to the States in time. Instead, the Women's Casino Battle Royale has been moved from the buy-in show to the main card. It was also confirmed that 3 more competitors have been added to the match, with Abaddon, Kylin King, and legit Layla Hirsch joining the likes of Thunder Rosa, Hikaru Shida, and Nyla Rose. Despite the postponement and the fact that the Battle Royale has taken the Pac match's place on the main card, Andrade is teasing that he may be facing a mystery opponent instead after he tweeted Andrade El Idolo versus ? #AEW #Chicago. It's possible that this will be on the main card or potentially on the buy-in instead of the Battle Royale, but it's worth noting that AEW have announced yet another buy-in match with Orange Cassidy, Chuck Taylor, Wheeler Yuta, and the Jurassic Express teaming up against the Hardy Family Office. It's possible that there was always plans to have 2 matches on the buy-in, leaving space for the Andrade match. And who do you think Andrade's opponent could be if he does get the match? Let me know in the comments down below. And elsewhere on tonight's AEW Dynamite, CM Punk got physical for the first time in AEW, with him hitting his first GTS in an All Elite ring. Punk came out to address his hometown of Chicago ahead of his match with Darby Allin this weekend at All Out, and Punk would state that he's worried, if not scared, ahead of the pay-per-view, questioning if he has what it takes after not wrestling in almost a decade. The crowd would chant "You still got it" before he was attacked by 2.0 and Daniel Garcia, who declared earlier in the show that they'd do everything they could to stop the Darby Punk match from happening. In the end, Sting and Darby Allin would come to Punk's rescue, with Darby hitting a coffin drop on Garcia, Sting dropping Matt Lee with a Scorpion Death Drop, before Punk took out Jeff Parker with a clean-looking go to sleep. After the heels were ran off, Punk and Darby would go face to face for the first time, before Sting called things off by stating that he has nothing but respect for Punk and said he's always wanted to share a ring with him. The Sting then said the match is between Darby and Punk before confirming that he will not be at ringside in Darby's corner. The Darby Allin match will be CM Punk's first since the 2014 Royal Rumble, this before his long hiatus from wrestling. I personally can't wait to see how Punk gets on, with Darby's relentless offense a perfect way to see if Punk has truly still got it. And did I mention you can buy the pay-per-view for just $19.99 in certain countries using our Fight affiliate link in the description down below. And as we discussed in a recent video, former WWE superstar Braun Strowman teased a big announcement for Wednesday afternoon after his non-compete clause ended on Tuesday. On Twitter, Strowman, now going by his real name of Adam Scherr, announced his first match since leaving WWE on June 2nd, where he will work a match against his close friend EC3. This was hinted at in a prior tweet where he used the term "control your own narrative," something reminiscent of EC3's current persona. This led to us to speculate whether whether he'd be joining Ethan in Ring of Honor, but this is in fact not the case, as the match will in fact happen on the second ever Free the Narrative event on Friday, October 1st. EC3 vs Sher will main event the show. Whilst Sher has been announced for an upcoming Qatar Pro Wrestling show, that won't be happening until February next year. The match at Free the Narrative will be the sequel to the first, which was headlined by EC3 taking on Matt Cardona. The show is set in a dark venue with cinematic elements with an underground fight club feel. The second show is being billed as The Monster in Us All and will likely be built to using videos on social media and YouTube across the competitors' own accounts, as was the same last time around. Ever since CM Punk's AEW debut, there has been questions over whether it could be time for another unlikely pro wrestling return in the form of Punk's wife, AJ Lee. AJ has been retired since 2015, noting in her memoirs that she achieved all of her wrestling goals and noted she has permanent damage to her cervical spine. The heat between WWE and her husband Punk also said to make things difficult to stick around. Whilst we've seen wrestlers return from seemingly career-ending neck injuries, most recently Edge, who is now back in the ring, it seems it won't be the case with AJ Lee, at least according to CM Punk. Speaking with the New York Post this week, Punk ruled out a comeback for AJ and said, "I just want to say no, just because of her neck. The reason she stopped wrestling is because of her neck. She's got a bad neck, you know? I wouldn't want her to jeopardize her health, and neither would she. So we'll put an end to that rumor right now." AJ hasn't wrestled since the post-WrestleMania Raw in 2015, where she took part in a 6-woman tag match teaming with Naomi and Paige to take on Natalya and the Bella Twins. The night before, she worked her last ever WrestleMania match teaming with Paige against the Bella Twins, and she won both matches. As much as I'd love to see AJ step back in the ring one more time, if it meant risking her long-term health, then I absolutely don't want to see it. She seems to be doing great outside of wrestling, writing TV shows, books, and comics, and her work in mental health advocacy is far more important than a silly wrestling match. And quickly, just before we continue, make sure you drop a like on the video as it helps me out a lot, and make sure you subscribe with notifications turned on so you don't miss any upcoming wrestling content as we head, hopefully, towards 100,000 subscribers. But now, let's press play on the video. And finally, we have another update relating to the upcoming changes to WWE's NXT brand, which will not only see a rebrand and a change in direction of the talent being pushed, but the show will now be seeing a change in management. According to reports, NXT will now be produced by WWE Chairman and CEO Vince McMahon and Senior Vice President and Executive Director Bruce Pritchard, which will no doubt put the nail in the coffin of the NXT as we know it. The change will take place when NXT returns to live TV later this month. Right now, they currently have a few episodes left in the can that were recorded last week after the NXT TakeOver event on the Monday and Tuesday. According to Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio, the duo will take over the big decisions and will be responsible for marketing, promotion, and the direction of the brand. Although he couldn't confirm that Vince and Bruce will be executive producers, noting that he doesn't know who knows what right now. This implies that the changes could be coming into play, just that not a lot of many people know about it. It was noted that McMahon and Pritchard may just be taking over the wrestlers at the top of the card. This makes me think that they will likely have a big say in the NXT Championship scene, with the belt being handed to Vince guys. Meltzer's co-host Brian Alvarez added that he had heard Triple H no longer has the same power over the brand, and his father-in-law is taking over. There is still no word on what this means for the future of Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and the rest of their team, but it was noted not too long ago that some within WWE are unhappy with Triple H that NXT were unable to stop the rise of AEW during the Wednesday Night Wars. This news follows a brand new NXT logo, which is a complete contrast from the heavy metal feel the show once had. Alvarez added that he heard several names are on the chopping block for potential releases, with many younger talents going over veterans at the latest taping. He added that many names that have been around for a long time are the ones that are at risk. This means that it's truly the end of an era for the former black and gold brand as they look to develop their own talent to fit the WWE mold, rather than being a super indie targeted at hardcore wrestling fans. They now seem to be leaving it up to AEW to satisfy that audience. And I'm just adding this in last minute as I've just came across a story whilst editing the video, and there's been concerns surrounding former WCW and TNA wrestler Daphne after a troubling Instagram stream. On Instagram Live last night, she was holding what appeared to be a pistol while sobbing, talking about feeling lonely, and said something like, "Remember, my brain goes to Boston." WWE Hall of Famer Mick Foley has taken to Twitter to seek help and said, "If anyone has a way of reaching Daphne Unger or knows her address, please help out. She's in a bad personal place and is threatening to harm herself. My phone call went straight to voicemail." Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful has taken to Twitter to confirm that emergency services have been contacted about the situation and have been sent to her last known address, which was provided by her family. Police were dispatched 11 hours ago as of this recording. Many fellow wrestlers have posted to Twitter saying that they too have tried calling her, instantly getting her voicemail. It's tough to really think of how to close this video other than to say that I hope she's okay and can be contacted soon, alive and well. And on the screen right now is the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, which is a 24/7 service who are there to help should you have such thoughts. The number for Samaritans is also on the screen, which is a UK service.